if you look at all of our favorite movies, they always have a mentor that comes. Obi-Wan is a great example. Another one, think about Gladiator. Marcus Aurelius was Maximus's mentor, but then he goes through this hardship. And then who comes into his life? Well, yeah, I think the guy's name is Proximo, who was responsible for the slaves, but gave him an opportunity and trained him how to win the crowd. So every great hero has a mentor that comes in. That's you, to your point. You are the mentor. You're not the hero. Holy cow, Kip. Man, sorry about the technical difficulties. We were laughing about it. It's amazing how computers don't want to work when they go to sleep or you unplug them for a day or two. And we were laughing because it's like going to sleep. Imagine going to sleep and then waking up in the morning and forgetting everything that you've learned forever and having to restart every single day. I don't, people say it's user error. Maybe to some degree, but it's also computer error in 2025.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of memory leaks on the PC or the Mac as well as user error, right?
Yeah. Who knows? Anyways, here we are, man. Let's do it. Ask me anything today. Excited to dig into some questions. I know we have some questions from our guys in Facebook at facebook.com/group/order of man. And then over in our exclusive brotherhood, which is open until the end of the year at the Iron Council. You can find that at orderofman.com/Iron Council.
Sounds good. Let's get into it. Brian Lama. When coming out of the valley of a season of one's life, should you ascend quickly from there or go deliberately slow?
Probably both or either, depending on the situation. I've used this analogy before. When you're off-roading, let's say you're on a dirt road and it's after a rainy season. Maybe it's springtime, snow melt's coming down, maybe there was a fresh rain, and you notice that somebody tore through there and there's just ruts in the dirt road. Sometimes in order to get yourself out of the rut, you need to do something that's going to be a little violent. It's going to be a little extreme to get yourself popped up out of that rut. And you jerk on the wheel, it pops you up out of the rut. Then you have to maintain vigilance as you're out of the rut so you don't slide back into the rut because that rut is trying to pull you in. So I think when you're coming out of a season of life, I think that it's probably worth considering, I'll say it that way, that you should really begin to mix up your life. That is an opportunity to do something new, to explore a new career path, to do something you've always wanted to do, pursue a hobby, go on a vacation, go on a trip, just mix things up a bit, knowing that whatever you are going to do may not be prudent in the long run, and not sustainable, but it might rejuvenate you, energize you, motivate you, and inspire you to get on a path that you've been off for so long. So I think it's okay. The short answer is I think it's okay to just come out of the gates, just hit it hard, not to mix metaphors, but come out of the box swinging, and then working into a battle plan, working into something that's going to be more sustainable long term.
Yeah. What do you think Brian means when he says ascend quickly?
Well, I see this all the time when guys join the Iron Council. Let's say they're dealing with a breakdown of a relationship, or they're dealing with a health scare or a financial catastrophe, and they realize that they need to improve their lives. So they'll come into the Iron Council and they'll try to change everything all at once. And while I appreciate the enthusiasm, we know that it's not sustainable. And what I would encourage somebody in that situation to do is to just slow down just a little bit. Instead of trying to fix everything all at once, maybe let's focus on the one thing that will improve every other aspect of your life. So right now, let's say you're struggling in your marriage. What's the one thing that will improve that aspect of your life? I would say, maybe contrary to popular belief, that you should dial in your physical health. I really believe that will improve your relationship, your finances, other aspects of your life. So start eating a little cleaner, go to bed a little earlier, wake up a little earlier, and maybe hit the gym 3 to 5 days a week for 45 minutes. There's other things you should be doing, of course, but focusing on that one thing will automatically improve everything as opposed to focusing on everything and not really moving the needle at any one thing.
Yeah. So maybe ascend quickly in the space of consistency around top priority items, but maybe deliberately slow in regards to not all of the things, and identify the top items. So that's where you could ascend quickly, identifying the top priorities items. Deliberately slow is don't try to tackle everything all at once.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even use the word deliberately slow because that has a negative connotation to it. You know what word I would use? Methodical.
Yeah, intentional. Yeah.
Right. And being methodical is intentional, right? It's having a system, it's having structure, it's building in the discipline. It's doing the work when you don't feel like doing the work. It's knowing that in the long term, you are going to create results if you're doing the right thing, although you may not experience it in the short term. So being methodical, I've used the term robotic in the past, but I think that takes out some of the human element to it. And obviously there is a human element. Being methodical means you're being thoughtful, you're being considerate. You can also take into considerations other aspects of your life, but you are focused, you are mission driven, and you will not be deterred. That's what I think about when I think of methodical. You know, Kipp, here's a great example. You're very methodical when it comes to training in a lot of aspects of your life. I've seen it. We've been friends for a long time. I see it in jiu-jitsu. I saw it when you got into archery. I knew you'd be successful with bow hunting because of how methodical you are. You set up for the shot properly. You test different angles. When you're out in the field, you take feedback really well, whether it's something you've observed or whether it's advice somebody else might be giving you. When you're training jiu-jitsu, you're doing one thing, not for that one thing, but then to get them to do something else so you can do something else, so they can do something else, and then you finally set your trap. That's the kind of methodical I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Well, and this is great for Brian because he's actually a brand new member within the Iron Council. So welcome, Brian, and get onboarded and get on that team. And hopefully this kind of gives you some guidance as you build that battle plan.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. All right. Khalib Kamir, as I progress in my business I started last year, I need to increase my pricing to pay myself more and other expenses that come up. I've had some original clients that supported me in the beginning and continue to support me. But when I started, I was just doing my private chef services for costs, which is all I was charging them. How do I communicate a price increase and still frame it in a way that supports the relationship? For context, I do this business on the side of my full-time corporate restaurant job, and I take events here and there when my calendar permits.
What I would do is I would frame it all under the context of why it's beneficial for them. So let's give you a couple of scenarios here. Let's say I'm one of your private coaching clients, whether it's for my family or for gatherings that I hold regularly. You might approach it this way. And I'm just paraphrasing. I'm shooting off the cuff a little bit here, but you might say, if I'm talking to you, Kipp, here's what I'd say. Hey, Kipp, I just wanted to address something with you. You know, it's not the most comfortable conversation, but I do want to address something with you. As you're well aware of, the economy continues to, inflation continues to hit, the price of goods and services, and the cost of food goes up. And while I hate that, I still want to maintain you and a handful of other people as clients of mine. And what I've noticed is that if I continue to charge the prices that I've charged, then I have to service everybody. And what I want to do is I only want to work with the people I really want to work with. And that's you and about 5 other families and corporate businesses that I work with. But in order to justify that, my prices are going to go up a little bit. But let me tell you why that's in your best interest. Number one, I'm going to have fewer clients, which means I'm going to be more available for you at your discretion. Number two, the quality of the food and the service is going to go up. I'm going to be able to bring in a sous chef. I'm going to be able to source local ingredients. I'm going to be able to be more creative with my dishes, and I'm going to improve the quality of your experience. And so that's why I'm coming to you one-to-one to tell you this, rather than just dump this on you next time you hire me for an event or a dinner or a booking. I would say something like that. What do you think, Kipp?
I think it's spot on. I mean, here's the other thing. Khalid, if you're working with primarily businesses, and I'm trying to read your question again to see if this is for individuals versus businesses. If it's for businesses, this is not that uncommon, right? Like rates go up all the time. Everyone's increasing rates from time to time, from year to year, right? And so you might be, just from a mindset perspective, kind of blocking yourself here, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose all these clients, when in reality, you're solid. And maybe do some market research, make sure that you're not outpricing yourself. And if you are going to outprice yourself and be more expensive than the market, then you need to double down on why you're worth more than everybody in the market. But if your strategy is to be cheaper than everybody else, then understand where the market sits. I would probably suggest, just like a lot of small business owners, you're probably undervaluing your services. I remember this. Ryan. I'm sure, years back you did the same thing. I remember when I used to do consulting, and I was like, $40 an hour. No one's going to pay that, right? And within 5 years, my rate was up to $200, and I couldn't even believe I used to charge people $40 an hour. I just, you get sideways sometimes, and sometimes you're your worst enemy when it comes to your value and your rates.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you can test it a little bit. And the one thing I wouldn't do is just hide it and just drop a bomb.
Yeah.
I mean, people do that all the time. And you also don't want to dwell on it too much either, because then you'll talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
So address it, say what it is, find a happy medium. There's one other thing that I often think about when I see sales professionals talk about their products and services. They'll say it in the context of how good their stuff is. So let me give you an example. I come to you again, Kipp, and I say, hey, we are justifying this price increase because our food is the best. Our food is better than the competitor. Our food is made with quality. You know what? As a person who's hiring you, sure, maybe that counts a little bit, but that framing doesn't matter to me. Because your food isn't the best. Okay? Like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's probably delicious, but there's plenty of other chefs out there who make just as good a food as you do, or sell the same type of widget somebody else sells. When I was in financial planning, I got in this habit of saying, oh, we're the best because of, the products that we offer. Everybody else offers the same products, but I had deluded myself. So whenever you're adding or explaining benefit, do it from the perspective of them. So instead of saying my food's the best, here's what I would say. You're going to love the way that we combine the flavors. When you leave one of our dinners, you're going to feel like $1 million because of how healthy the food is, how good it sits and fuels your body. Or here's another one. Your client, if you're doing a business event, your clients are going to think that you spent way more than you did on this event. And you are going to be a hero because I'm going to make sure they think you have this figured out and some secret that they're not aware of.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of conversations. And so what I would do is I would always have about 5 to 10 of those on hand for the most common objectives and your best selling points, and just memorize what they are verbatim, word for word. So you can just spit those out without talking about the features and more about the benefit from the customer's perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. For me, it's about Story Brand. It's a great book around marketing.
Yeah.
And
Donald
it's
Miller.
all about, how do you make sure the client's the hero? How do you make sure they look good? You're not selling yourself as a hero. You're selling yourself as Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're Luke Skywalker.
Right.
You're going to help them destroy the Death Star. They're going to get the praise. How do you make them heroes? And it's interesting too. A lot of this comes down to understanding what's important to them. When you're giving the example of food taste, obviously there's a baseline that needs to be met there, but the client may not care about that as much. What they may care about is quality of relationship and service from you. We're going to be extra tentative. We're going to be on top of it. We're going to, we'll be on time. The quality of the service and the relationship is probably what they might care more about than the actual food itself. This is where like the trades get sideways, right? They're like, oh, we do these great roofs. How about just being on time? How's that? That would be nice. Like, I'd pay extra money for that. So get clear on what's important to your customer. Yeah.
I really like that idea of the hero's journey. That's originated, I believe, from Joseph Campbell, called The Hero's Journey. And if you look at all of our favorite movies, they always have a mentor that comes. Obi-Wan is a great example.
Yep.
Another one, think about Gladiator. Marcus Aurelius was Maximus's mentor, but then he goes through this hardship. And then who comes into his life? Well, yeah, I think the guy's name is Proximo, who was responsible for the slaves, but gave him an opportunity and trained him how to win the crowd, right? Another one is Braveheart. We think about William Wallace's first, his father, who he really admired and looked up to, but then he has this tragic situation. Who comes in to save him? His uncle, Argyle. And he teaches him how to fight with his mind and use the sword. So every great hero has a mentor that comes in. That's you, to your point. You are the mentor. You're not the hero.
Yeah, love it. All right, Dwayne Lube. I'm working on my mindset in conversations and how I show up. What do you think about the concept of being unarmored as opposed to being vulnerable? As in, a bunch of cells in their team rooms making plans and getting after it are still dangerous, or a samurai in their dojo honoring their skills, but they have no need to wear full body armor and weaponry for their individual protection because of the external safeguards of their compound or location. They can be free from feeling like they are under attack, but they are not weak, harmless men. This is just an environment where they can actually make themselves better. I love the analogy, actually.
I do too, but I think we're conflating a few things, because we're not saying that the samurai never puts his armor on. Why would he even have armor if he didn't ever put it on? So sure, he's safe within the walls of the compound under the watchful eye of sentinels and guards and lookouts, and sure, of course. And so when you are with your band of brothers, you can be more honest and you can be more humble about the things that you're struggling with or the things that you're dealing with. To go back to jujitsu, when you go to a match, you put your armor on. You're not gonna walk. Let's say your knee's hurting you. You're not gonna walk out onto the mat with a gimp showing your enemy that your knee's hurting, because he's going to exploit your knee. But at training, what would you do? Hey guys, we need to take it easy on my knee. Please don't attack my leg today. So that's the better analogy. And I think that's what he's saying. So unarmored, sure. And here's another thing that, not all the time. So understand, even in personal relationships, even with your wife, people say, oh, you should share everything. I'm like, everything? Like literally everything? I don't think so. Not to be deceitful, but to shield and protect. She doesn't need to know all of the intricacies of your business and how hard certain things were. She needs to know things that are relevant to her, but I don't think you need to disclose everything. And you certainly, even if you believed you did, shouldn't disclose it in the way you always feel like disclosing it.
Yeah. The sky's falling.
Right. Because if you come home and you're like, hey, hon, the boss was talking about laying off half the workforce today, and we're scrambling, and she's going to freak out. Rightfully so. So you have to be a little bit careful of that. This might be semantics, but we often hear of this term safe space. And we were kind of joking in the Iron Council years ago. I don't know if you remember this, Kip, but everybody kept saying safe space because that was a big thing years ago. It's not so much anymore. And I think it was Reese or somebody had made the comment that this is not a safe space, it's a secure space. And I like that distinction because secure means that there's still threats and that we're watchful of and we're wary of. But we have systems in place to ensure that we're secure from whatever those threats are. Safe just means there's no threats at all. We're safe. We're good. And that is stupid because then you're going to be blindsided. So I like what he's saying. I would agree with that. Unarmored, secure, in the right situation, and then know when to shield up, armor up, and get ready to do the thing.
And I think I've heard you say this over the years. There's distinctions based upon the relationship, right? And for those that we are serving, maybe that's the group. That's not the group. The group is the people that are serving you or you're getting coaching from or something else. But this is, just like I use the example of our relationship with our kids, right? I'm not going to dump on my kids. Why? Because it's my job to preside and serve them and to protect them. And because of that, that's a relationship where I'm not as open or unarmored, to use his term. That's where I'm a little bit more careful. Why? Because does it serve them? Or am I unloading, right, to serve myself, right? And so be mindful of why you're doing it. I think that's one thing that we rarely ever consider. People, they enlist people with their victim traps, with their victim mentalities. Why? Why are you doing it? So be mindful. Why are you opening up? What's the point? What's the intent? Are you getting coaching or are you just looking for validation? Be mindful of that.
Yeah. I think the why is really important. And that's one of the biggest issues I have with the whole vulnerability movement is people, whether others have intended it or not, people are interpreting that as vulnerability for vulnerability's sake.
Yeah.
That's not what we do, guys. Look, I understand the concept of vulnerability. People mock me and laugh at me because I hate that word. I do hate it because it means something different to everybody and because it's just become this really soft excuse to be weak and pathetic. You don't have the right to be vulnerable. You should be humble. You should be honest. But vulnerability for the sake of being vulnerable. Now, why would I be humble and honest with you, Kipp? So that we can develop and build a relationship on trust.
Yeah.
But would I do that if you were my mortal enemy? No. How does that serve me? It doesn't. It only hurts me. So we really need to exercise some level of discernment and acknowledge that even the word vulnerability, the idea of it is to recognize weaknesses so you can do something about it.
Yeah.
If I'm in charge of that samurai compound and I notice that there's some weak architecture on the west wall, that's a vulnerability. So then I'm going to enlist who I need to enlist, and we're going to shore that up, and we're going to fix it so we're no longer vulnerable. That's the point of vulnerability.
Yeah, I love that. As a closing thought, I was considering this a couple of months ago. What's the point of faith? To move to action. What's the point of knowledge? To move it into action. What's the point of being vulnerable and open? To move to action. What are you going to do with it? If it's just to feel sorry for myself and feel validated, that's not enough. It needs to move to action. Yeah.
Agreed. Fully.
All right. Mike Rendine, not a question, kind of a statement. So any thoughts you have? Age gap relationships. I don't even know what classifies an age gap relationship. 10 years? 5 years?
An age gap is anytime there's a gap in age, right? So what he's asking is what is appropriate and what is not. You often hear the rule of, what's the rule? Divide. What is the rule? Divide your age in half and add 7. So if you're 40, the unwritten rule is that you can date as low as 27. I don't know. I think that's a pretty big gap. There's a problem here, okay? And the problem is, and typically it's older men with younger women. And the problem with that is that you are not at the same level. You're just
maturity,
not.
Even just life experience.
Maturity, security. Now, generally, a woman is going to be more interested in safety and security from her partner than a man is from his partner. And generally speaking, a man is going to be more interested in vitality and vibrance and being beautiful than his female counterpart might. That's not to say that being secure isn't important to men, or women finding men attractive isn't important to them. It is. It's just how we prioritize it. But at some point, you've got to realize that this is a little girl. All right. If you're 40 years old and you're dating a 20-something, I would say in the lower ends of the 20s, she's a child.
Yeah.
she doesn't, and you know what? And you're also preying on her. She doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know anything about life. She hasn't had difficult experiences and gone through hardship, and she's still probably somewhat, doe-eyed and a little naive about what the real world actually entails. And here you come in and you seem like the mature man and you've got your financial stability in place and you think she's beautiful, sure. But what do you talk about? She's going to talk about Barbies and makeup, and you're talking about business empires and creating a legacy. What the hell are you two talking about? And also, what happens if there's a big age gap? What happens when you turn, 60 or 70 years old and she's 40 or 50? Like, I can't imagine that would be a very pleasant experience
she's leaving you
a younger woman.
She's leaving you at the adult daycare center is what she's doing.
Yeah, you want her to change your diapers? I mean, come on. So I think funny. Obviously there's an age gap that I think is, I would say, culturally acceptable or even appropriate. I would say it's sub 10 years in general.
Yeah.
Much more than that, I think there's a lot of issues that could arise from that.
Probably.
And I understand both sexes' natural inclination for a woman to choose someone a little older and for men to choose someone a little younger. Also, be smart, ladies and gentlemen. Be smart. Find somebody within your age range so you guys can relate and build a family and grow together. And I know there's going to be a lot of guys who probably have a big age discrepancy. You're going to say, well, you don't even know what you're talking. Look at me and my wife. I'm like, that's good. That's good. If you guys have a good relationship and you're 13 years apart or something and it works for you and the dynamic works for you, but I'm just saying you better be prudent and vigilant about how those dynamics will shift when you want to sit around and watch TV because you're too tired and she's still full of excitement and enthusiasm, and she wants to go tour the world. What's that going to look like? There's a lot of considerations, I think, here outside of she's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and here's the secret to look past the hot factor is just remember how stupid you were at 27 and say, would I hang out with me at this age? And the answer is no, I would not be hanging around me. So what makes her any different other than her hotness? Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the thing you really have to consider, and I hope it's the case that you want to be in a long-term relationship with this woman, is you have to consider, is this somebody I actually enjoy being around? Yeah. Because she's going to get some wrinkles and she's going to get a little saggy and you're going to put on some weight and you're going to get wrinkles. And that standard of beauty changes. And then what are you left with?
Yeah.
Now he's probably like, dang it, I wanted to date a 25-year-old and he's 45 or something. And I'm like, sorry, dude. I tell you.
All right. Caleb Johnson. Say you've screwed up and you've not been holding someone or a group accountable. How do you switch to setting a line in the sand without looking like a hypocrite or like you're being an ass?
Oh, so this is a good question. Yeah. So let me make sure I get it right. He has not been holding people accountable, an accountability group. I imagine it's maybe something in the Iron Council or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
or
his
even
family.
At work.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or work. And he hasn't been holding them accountable because he's not living up to his word.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have any room to stand on when he tells somebody to do something that he's not doing.
And he hasn't been holding anybody accountable, and now he wants to start doing it.
Yeah. So this is where vulnerability comes in. This is actually a proper use of vulnerability. So Kipp, let's say you're my subordinate at work. But maybe that's not the right. You're my employee. What you understand? Yeah. You're my employee at work.
Yeah.
And I've been slacking off. I've been getting there late. I've been coming in late. I've been leaving early. I kind of dink around at work. I'm not doing what I need to be doing. And then all of a sudden I come to you and I'm like, hey, you need to be here on time. How well is that going to go over? But, instead of doing that, instead of being directive, and this will apply whether it's business or family or friends, is I might come to you and say, hey, Kipp, you know, I know that I have been slacking off lately. I know I've been pretty weak on when I get here. I usually stroll in about 30, 40 minutes late. I leave about 30 or 40 minutes early. Not as productive as I should be when I'm here. And I'm sure you're well aware of that. And I'm acknowledging that. And I've been thinking about it for the past several weeks. And I think my behavior has rubbed off on everybody else. Because what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a trend of other people rolling in late and other people leaving in early and other people not being productive. So what we're going to do moving forward is we're all going to commit to each other right now that we're going to be here on time and that we're going to leave on time and that we're going to be productive in these certain ways. And I'm going to hold you accountable to that because it's important to me, and I think it's important to you, and it's important to this organization. And you are going to hold me accountable. So if I'm not here, you have every right to say that I wasn't on time either. And I think we can do this together. What do you think? That's vulnerability. That's the proper use of it. You're using your humility in order to achieve a desired outcome. And then you have to stick with it, right? That's the hard part. You actually have to do it now because everybody's looking to you. That's how I would do it.
Yeah, I love it. The only thing I would add as a consideration is why the change. Like, get present to the change, not just like, hey, I've been late and I've been slacking. I wouldn't go there because then it's like, I've been slacking and guess what, Ryan? You're slacking too. It's a little accusatory. Own it. Man, I haven't been showing up and it's affecting the organization and the team's performance in a negative way. And we're not going to be able to achieve our goals and be the successful team that we want to be and hit our numbers if I'm showing up that way. So here's my commitment moving forward. And I'm going to hold you guys accountable to ensure that I'm supporting you in showing up powerfully as well. That way, the accountability isn't this form of attack, right? But it's a support system to help others achieve greatness as well. And I would make it about something greater than ourselves and just us performing. It's how we show up powerfully as a team and support the organization moving forward.
Yeah, I like that. I'd also add, if you can get buy-in from them, again, whether it's your family or team members, and you might say, so we really need to improve our performance. I liked what you said. You say what you just said. So guys, here's what I think we ought to do. What metrics can we all agree on that we ought to start looking at for productivity, accountability, et cetera? And let them decide.
I love it.
Now, you might have to sprinkle your own thoughts in there, but they're going to come up with some good answers. And now guess what? You say this all the time, Kipp. They're bought in. It was their idea. It was not your idea. They're the ones that said, I want to be on time. I want to leave on time. I want to be productive in this way. I want to hit these KPIs. They said it, not you. And when other people say it, they can't argue. They're less inclined to argue against it, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great question, Caleb. Red Camel 8819. How do you recommend being the decision maker in a family while also taking my wife's opinion into consideration? I need to step up as a leader in my household, but I don't want to come across as a dictator.
Yeah, I think you just say that.
Yeah.
Hey, babe, I really want to be decisive. I want to lead the family to where we're going. I don't want to come across as a dictator. Are there some things that you think would be able to help? So, I'm taking you into consideration as we're making these decisions. That's one. Another one is just include her in the process. To go back to what you said a minute ago, is explain the why. Hey, babe, I really think we need to move this direction as a family. We need to get together on a weekly basis and have a family meeting. And I think it'd be really important for us to be able to connect with the kids. And man, I feel like we're losing them as they get older. And there's so many outside factors that are influencing them. What do you think about something like that? And then let her, you were decisive. You gave direction. You said, we're going to do this. You framed it as a question, and then you let her give you some input on the way it should be done. And she's good at that. She will be really good at that. And you are going to make the decisions. Or if she comes to you and says, Adam Lane Smith talks about this. I can't remember the terminology he used, but he said, women are really good at identifying what's wrong, and then men are good at being the CEO of the relationship. So a woman might say to you, like, hey, you know what? Like, I just think we're struggling and we're not connected as much as we should be. That's her telling you there's a problem. And then it's your job as a man to fix it. So you might say, hey, hon, I hear that. I think part of the reason that is because I've been so busy with work, but I understand you want to be more connected. So do I. Let me think about that. And then you come to her later that evening, or you come to her tomorrow and say, hey, I thought about 3 things that you and I could do to be more connected to each other. I could be a little bit better with my professional schedule so that I get home at a more reasonable time throughout the week, except for Tuesday. I do need to stay late every Tuesday night, but the other days I'll be here on time. I thought we could do a weekly date night. And I thought that once a month or once a quarter, we take a little mini long weekend. Would that, if we did that, would that help you feel more comfortable about being connected to each other? Yeah, it would. Good. Then you execute. You're the CEO. Then you execute. Then you do that. You start showing up on time. You plan the dates. And even with dates, it's as simple as saying, hey, hon, date night Friday. We do it every Friday night. Sitters lined up. We're good there. New restaurant in town. I know you love sushi, so I booked that for us. Now, if she's allergic to shellfish, I wouldn't take her to Red Lobster. Okay, that's what we're talking about when it's being decisive and taking her into consideration. You don't need to ask her where she wants to go to dinner. You know where she wants to go to dinner. And if she's allergic to shellfish, she doesn't want to go to Red Lobster. So don't book Red Lobster. That's how you be decisive while taking her into consideration.
Yeah. Do you feel that Red Camel, like his question, he says, how do you recommend being a decision maker in the family? Is it just he wants to lead and preside better than he is? And is he mixing those two things together, that it has to be his decision versus guiding a decision? Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, so a leader, I don't think that a leader does everything. A leader makes sure everything gets done. So you don't need to be the one to do it all. You need to be the one to ensure everything gets accomplished and completed. So there are going to be elements where you're going to delegate. But I'm just telling you, women do not want to make decisions. They already make enough decisions throughout the day. And by the way, you're better as a man at making decisive decisions. I'm not saying women can't make decisions. Don't misunderstand me.
Yeah.
I'm saying you as a man are biologically hardwired to be decisive. Get all the data, get all the facts, and then decide.
Yeah.
That's what you're designed to do. Women, they loop. The things, they like circular. They even do it in their relationships. Like, for example, when your wife goes out with her friends and she comes back and you say, hey, hon, how was the night? What does she say? She tells you everything. Oh, Cindy's dealing with her grandmother who's passing away, and Lucy's daughter had a boo-boo on her knee, and so-and-so had this bad grade at school, and then little Timmy, and I'm like, who's Timmy? And they're like, oh, that's Stephanie's aunt's brother's sister got suspended from school. Can you believe that? He said a swear word in the classroom. And you're like, holy shit. I was just saying, like, did you have a good time? But then when men get together, here's what happens.
Yeah.
You come home and she says, hey, how was the night? And you're like, yeah, it was good. And she says, oh, how's Kipp? Yeah, he's good. Well, how's Asia? How's the kids? I'm like, I think they're pretty good. Well, what have they been up to? I don't know. Well, what, like, are they ready for Christmas? Do they get their Christmas shopping done? I don't know. Oh, yeah. Well, what'd you guys talk about? I don't know. But I beat him bowling, or I outshot him at the pistol range, or he kicked my ass at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but I decisively determined that they're good, though, despite not knowing any of that stuff. Yeah.
It's directional. It's like, I don't know about it. I don't need that stuff. It's not wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong.
Yeah.
We're laughing at the sexes. Women will laugh at men because they're like, you don't even know your friends. I'm like, I know my friends just as well as you do. It's different.
Yeah.
And men will laugh at women because it's like, who cares about all that stuff? They do. That's good. But you're hardwired to be decisive. That's why I think he's wanting. And you know what? Here's another thing about that. I don't know his situation, but what I've seen a lot of the times is men will not be decisive for years, even decades. and their wife will assume the masculine role and she'll start being decisive. And then he wants to figure out how to wrestle control back. And he's having a hard time because she doesn't believe that he can, because he's proven time and time again that he can't and won't. And here's what happens in a lot of relationships. The man stops making decisions. The woman starts making decisions. And the man says, well, why is she making decisions? I should be able to make decisions. She doesn't believe that you can. So she felt that she was obligated to do it, because if she didn't do it, nobody would do it. And she just became the man in the she just put the pants on in the relationship, and you just put the panties on.
Yeah. And then you try to start making decisions, and then then you're head to head battling, right? In regards to making decisions. Yeah.
That's right. So if that situation arises, you have to do that slowly. If you're noticing yourself in an environment where your wife has been making the decisions for years, then you need to start making decisions with little small things. And it might be, hey, I noticed that the fence needs to be repaired, and I would like to do that on Saturday. I'd like to repair the fence this Saturday. Do we have anything going on I need to be aware of? Do you see how you made a decision? You said, I would like to do that. This is what I want to do this Saturday. But you also gave her a little bit of lead by saying, is there anything that you have planned that I wasn't aware of? And then you actually have to do the fence. You have to get up out of bed before her without saying anything. And you need to go to the lumber yard, go to the hardware store, get the stuff. And when she wakes up or gets ready for the day, you have to be working on the fence. And you don't need to say anything. You don't need to get, your belly rubbed and patted on the head and say how good of a boy you were. You just do it. And then if you want to take her out, you say, hey, babe, I was thinking about Saturday night. Man, there's this new restaurant in town, or this new thing, this new movie, and I really wanted to take you out this weekend. I think this restaurant at 7:00 would be good, and I can line up a babysitter, but does that work for your schedule? Again, you're leading, but giving her autonomy because she's used to having it. And you do that enough, and you can start doing it on bigger things down the road.
Yeah.
The proper feedback.
Love it. All right. Last question. Tony Simone. Okay. It was a little hard to read. So he's mostly asking about working on tactics that are difficult. He says he finds it easier, more satisfying to go for a run than to fix the garage, than to eat sugar or waste time on social media. So any tips for not making the not doing more enjoyable? Thanks for everything. So kind of working on the harder tactics, right? And not just doing all the things that we enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to do stuff they don't like to do?
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. So you can either delegate it or do it and attach it to the outcome.
Yeah.
That's really the only two answers, because some of these things, if it doesn't need to be done, then don't worry about it. But if it does need to be done, you need to delegate it or attach it. Now, some things you can't delegate. You can't, unfortunately, delegate exercising today. Like, you're the one that has to exercise today. So you can find something you enjoy. You said running.
Yeah.
But too many guys are like, well, I'm supposed to do jujitsu because that's what Kipp. I don't care if you can do it or you can be weak if you want. But that's up to you.
Be a coward. It's up to you.
You could be a coward. You could get your ass beat on a street fight. I don't care. That's your decision. Find something you like. There's ways, there's veins, but if you have to do it and you don't like doing it, then just attach it to the outcome as best you can. Like taxes. Yeah. I don't like doing taxes. So I've delegated it, but there's still work I need to give. So I like having clean books. I like being financially free. I like not having to have extra tax liability looming over my head at times. So when my accountant, my bookkeeper sends me a message and she says, what are these 10 expenses for the last quarter? I'm like, ugh. Go in, it takes me 10 minutes and I send it to her. And I'm like, good, wash my hands, done. I need that to be done so I can run the business effectively. So I think attaching to the outcome is going to help you do those hard to do things. There's a lot of other things too. It might just be that you're low energy. So many people take on way too much stuff. And then of course there's no room to do some of that. So it gets pushed to the back burner. You might be physically tired because you're not getting the proper sleep, or you're not in shape, or you're not fueling correctly. And so everything kind of seems like a laborious chore. That's something you can consider as well.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I just need to start taking action. That's usually my dilemma. Like, I don't want to clean the garage, but if I just don't overthink it and I just go out there and say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to work on it for 20 minutes. You can do anything for 20 minutes. Like, that's not that big of a deal. And once I start doing it, I feel great. You know, it feels worse thinking about it and trying to avoid it than it does actually doing it. So I just try to move to action faster.
That's actually a good idea. You could even break up these bigger tasks into small, manageable ones, like cleaning the garage. You might say, I'm not going to clean the entire garage. Yeah. I'm going to clean this segment. Like, I have this little rack, this shelving system in my garage, and it's a mess. It's where I put all of my stuff when I'm too tired to put anything away.
Yeah.
So it's a mess. And my whole garage is kind of messy. But I can go do that. That would take me an hour. I can go do that. And then I can move to my tool chest, and that would take me an hour. And I could do that another day. I don't need to do that today. And then I can go unwind and, watch the game or play with my kids or whatever. Sure. But at least I got a little bit done. And there's so much value in being productive and working towards a goal.
Yeah, I always find, for me, I just time box it. I'm like, oh, my commitment this week is every day for X amount of time, I'll work on that. And when time's up, you have to stop, because what will happen is you'll get into it. You'll spend hours working on it. And then tomorrow you won't do it because you wasted so much time yesterday on it. Like, you make it daunting, right? Point. So keep it short and sweet. And then the next day you're like, hey, just another 30 minutes. No big deal.
Yeah. I like that. That goes back to the first question about being methodical, not excelling too quickly.
Yeah.
And just doing it consistently over long periods of time.
Totally. Cool, brother. All right. We got through them. Look at us.
Got them. Thanks, guys. Good questions today. I appreciate it. Even with our my technical difficulties, not yours, my technical difficulties. Oh, my gosh. What a mess.
Yeah. So a big call to action. Ryan, you mentioned earlier, Iron Council's open. Now's the time to join, guys. This is the end of the year. Don't wait until January. It's open for enrollment. Join us there. orderofman.com/Iron Council to band with us. And of course, connect with Ryan on the socials, X and Instagram at Ryan Michler. Anything else, Ryan, as a call out?
Well, I wanted to talk about the Iron Council real quick, and I wanted to do it in a way that we were talking with, I can't remember who asked the question about we started talking about how to present this information. And I'm going to give you a real world example, specifically as it relates to Iron Council. There's a couple questions I want you guys to ask yourselves as you're thinking about this. Have I ever felt like I'm destined for more, but don't know where to start? Have you ever felt like you're doing life alone? You're taking everything on. Nobody's on your team. Everything's against you. And you just feel deflated because you aren't able to get as far down the road as you'd like, because you're the one having to deal with and do everything. Or here's another question. Have you ever been committed to something? Deeply, deeply committed. So excited about it. Deeply committed to improving your relationship or improving your finances, getting on top of things, feeling good about yourself. And you're really good for a week or two. And then you slip back into old patterns and you feel worse about yourself than what you did before you even started the thing, because you failed yet again. Those are the reasons you need to join the Iron Council. If you said yes to any of those questions, that's why you should band with us. So you have men who will not let you slip. You have systems that will actually let you tap into the full potential that exists inside of you. And if you're saying those things, especially over and over again, about this time of year, I always the posts that I hear and the phrases people say is, 2025 was my warm-up. 2026 is the year. Well, damn, dude. How many warm-up years do you need? Because you've been saying that for 10 years. Yeah. And what's really going to change this year? Nothing. Unless you do something different.
Yeah,
and
the
that's
probable
where
future.
I think we might be able to help.
Yeah, just the probable future. That's where I always go with this is like, well, I'm going to start hitting the gym in January. Why? You had that option last year, so what's different? And if you can't say what's different, then the probable future is you're going to keep doing what you've always been doing.
Yeah.
You have to understand the pivot.
I think that was Khaled who was asking the question earlier, if I remember correctly. But that's how you communicate value, and that's the value, of course, that the Iron Council brings. So killed two birds with one stone. Gave you an example. Encourage you guys to band with us. Guys, we appreciate you. Really great interview that just released yesterday with John Lovell. If you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it. Subscribe. He had some amazing, amazing things to say. Leave us a rating and review and share this with a brother who needs it. Guys, we'll be back on Friday. Until then, go out there, take action, and become the man you are meant to be.